Aircraft carriers have played a major role for the United States Navy in maritime warfare history. Many people visualize aircraft carriers as floating cities. One of the major concerns for aircraft carriers is the risk to the lives of the personnel on board and the risk of the billions of dollars worth of aircraft standing on the deck, falling into the ocean. Aircraft carriers can house up to 6,000 crew members and sailors on board, approximately 100 fighter jets that are well worth over $30 million each, and various other luxury facilities you'd find in a city. The aircraft carrier weighs more than 100,000 tons and is over 1,000 feet long. On the 8th of July, 2022, a fighter jet took off from the deck of the mighty aircraft carrier named the USS Harry S. Truman. The unexpectedly violent and fierce weather in the Mediterranean Sea raised suspicion, and the people were curious about how the events took place, even after considering the capability of the aircraft carrier to withstand harsh weather conditions. The biggest aircraft carrier in the world is the Gerald R. Ford class. It's got a load displacement of 100,000 tons. The first carrier in the class, USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, was delivered to the U.S. Navy in May of 2017. It was officially deployed for duty in July of 2017 and achieved initial operation capability in December of 2021. The carrier features a 78-meter wide flight deck and is equipped with an electromagnetic aircraft launch system and advanced arresting gear. The carrier is able to store more than 75 aircraft and house more than 4,500 crew members, which include personnel, the ship's company, the air wing, and other support staff. The Gerald R. Ford class carrier is powered by two A-1B nuclear reactors that offer 250% more electrical capacity than the Nimitz-class carriers, which are another one of the U.S. Navy's aircraft carrier classes. The artillery on the carrier includes RM-162 Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, Phalanx Close-In Weapon Systems, or CIWS, and the Rolling Airframe Missiles, also known as RAMs. Along with the Gerald R. Ford class, the U.S. Navy holds power over another aircraft carrier class known as the Nimitz class. With a load displacement limit of approximately 97,000 tons, the Nimitz class carrier is the world's second largest aircraft carrier. The first carrier of the class started its duty in May of 1975. Each carrier of the Nimitz class was specially designed to serve and operate for 50 years and only required one midlife overhaul. The 332-meter-long supercarrier features a massive flight deck that measures about 4.5 acres. The deck is capable of storing and carrying 60 or more aircraft. Each ship towers at a staggering 20 stories above the water. The carrier can accommodate 3,200 ships company, 1,500 air wing, and 500 other crew members at a time. The Nimitz class is fueled by two nuclear reactors, providing a maximum speed of more than 30 knots. 20mm Phalanx CIWS missile defense cannons, RAMs, and NATO REM-7 Sea Sparrow missile launchers for anti-ship and anti-aircraft usage are mounted on the ship to help defend it against any potential threats. The ship also features specialized aircraft such as the F-4 Phantom and F-14 Tomcat jets designed to intercept enemy aircraft and eliminate any and all enemy aircraft. Slower A-6 and A-7 Corsair bombers are also installed on the carrier to pound any surface targets. The ships that are classified in the Nimitz class are scheduled to be replaced by the Gerald R. Ford class CVN-78 next-generation aircraft carriers when they reach the end of their deployment life cycles. Two Nimitz-class aircraft carriers, USS George Washington, CVN-73, and USS John C. Stennis, CVN-74, are currently undergoing the process of midlife refueling complex overhauls. The overhauls are expected to allow the vessels to remain in service and serve the United States Navy for another 25 years. The United Kingdom's Royal Navy also has an aircraft carrier under its control, the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carriers. The first carrier of this class, HMS Queen Elizabeth, started her sea trials in June of 2017, but it wasn't until December of the same year that it was deployed into the sea for duty. The Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier has a full load displacement of 65,000 tons, making it the largest warship that was ever built by the Royal Navy. The second carrier of the class was named HMS Prince of Wales. It was commissioned in December of 2019. HMS Prince of Wales served as the commanding ship throughout the cold response exercise that was held in Norway between March and April of 2022. Each vessel in the class has the capacity to carry up to 40 rotary and fixed-wing aircraft. Each ship is equipped with armament, which includes Phalanx CIWS 30mm guns and miniguns for self-defense against any potential threats, whether by sea or by air. The aircraft carrier is powered by 2 Rolls-Royce MT-30 gas turbines and 4 sets of diesel generators, which provide an overall installed power of 190 megawatts. This vessel has the capability of sailing at a maximum speed of 25 knots, thanks to its propulsion system. The automated systems and latest technology on board the vessels allow operations to be carried out with a streamlined crew of 679 members. The HMS Queen Elizabeth successfully completed a 7-month operational deployment as the commanding ship vessel of the Carrier Strike Group 21 in December 2021, which included sailing across 5 seas and 3 oceans. You may be curious to know how such massive ships manage to stay level and prevent millions of dollars worth of aircraft from drowning in the deep ocean with their massive size and weight. Aircraft carriers naturally have stability that makes them unlikely to tip over easily. However, even with their massive size, aircraft carriers can still be majorly affected by the ocean's natural movements. The most significant danger to an aircraft carrier is not the ship itself, but what the ship carries, and of course, the thousands of crew members who are also aboard the ship. Despite these factors, aircraft carriers need to maintain a stable platform for jets to safely take off and land. Otherwise, it would be quite difficult for the pilots and personnel to do their designated duties safely. Talking about safety, it's fair to say that nothing is more important than the 6,000 sailors on board and the multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier. An unstable ship would naturally put the lives of the crew members in danger, as it would cause the cargo and equipment to bounce and shift around, not only damaging the interior and equipment of the ship, but also leading to injuries or accidents. And to top it all off, an unstable aircraft carrier would make it very difficult to carry out mission objectives while out in the ocean. Pilots would not be able to fly the fighter jets to protect themselves and the aircraft carrier with their crewmates inside. The flight deck is the heart of the ship, and everything that takes off and lands is a very nerve-wracking procedure. In easier words, you could say that the stability of the ship could mean the difference between life and death. Lucky, the weight and large size of an aircraft carrier not only consist of layers of protection against the fierce and merciless ocean. Designing a massive aircraft carrier that can withstand the unpredictable and unforgiving seas, there's no margin to leave anything a chance. The U.S. Navy uses a very complex, powerful, and efficient computerized simulation tool that allows them to test their ship and optimize their stability before they're deployed in the open seas. Various tests are held to test the ship, such as the seakeeping simulations. These simulations help to evaluate how the ship performs in various weather and sea conditions, whether it's calm water or furious rough seas. Once the design of the carrier is finalized, validation and testing are conducted to ensure the ship performs as expected by the Navy in the actual sea conditions. Computerized simulations are an essential tool in the design and optimization of U.S. aircraft carriers, since they allow them to create ships that are not only very powerful and technologically advanced, but are also safe for the sailors. Furthermore, the U.S. Navy has developed a variety of systems to keep the ship as steady as humanly possible once it's actually out in the ocean. One of the most important characteristics is known as the ballast. While the word itself sounds really complex, it isn't much more than just following the basic laws of physics. The ballast is known as the additional weight that's added to the ship's hull, which is the main body that pumps water into its tanks, resulting in a gradual increase of the ship's center of gravity, and thus making the ship more stable. It's important to mention that the leading aircraft carrier of the United States Navy, the USS Gerald R. Ford, has 4 ballast tanks that can carry a whopping 7 million gallons of water each. These ballast systems are highly automated and can adjust the stability of the ship in real time, compensating for the changes in waves and wind. Anchors are also used to keep the ship in place and prevent it from drifting around in high winds or rough tides. Typically, aircraft carriers come with multiple anchors, which can be lowered to the seabed when needed. It can be considered as a way to keep the ships in one place, in the middle of the big expansive ocean. The ship's hull is purposely and strategically shaped like a V, allowing it to cut through the waves instead of floating over them. This technical design helps to reduce the rolling motion of the ship and ensures a stable course of travel even on the harshest of sea conditions. The U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers also have powerful steering mechanisms like rudders and propellers, providing them with the ability to strategically maneuver and maintain a horizontal path. The control of the mechanisms by skilled crew members on the ship ensures that the ship stays on its intended path and navigates through the waves smoothly, all while avoiding any faults. Speaking of prevention, the U.S. Navy holds regular inspections and maintenance checks on all of its ships to ensure that everything is in working condition at all times, as there's no room for error in the ocean. As complex as the carrier is, it isn't surprising to say that a dedicated team of sailors and engineers who can handle the job of repairing, cleaning, painting, and upgrading aircraft carriers regularly is required. Generally, these tasks are divided into different categories, which include preventative maintenance, corrective maintenance, and overhaul maintenance. Preventative maintenance is pretty self-explanatory. It's regularly performed to prevent problems from occurring in the first place. It typically includes tasks like replacing filters, lubricating machinery, and inspecting equipment for wear and tear. Meanwhile, corrective maintenance means fixing the problem as soon as it arises. For example, if any radar system of the carrier is malfunctioning, highly trained tech experts would promptly diagnose and repair it right away. On the other hand, overhaul maintenance contains more extensive repairs or upgrades. To fully understand overhaul maintenance, note that the ballast tanks on the aircraft carrier can become rusty and damaged over time, or the pipes carrying the water that's connected to the pumps and valves may become worn out. In this case, to perform an overhaul maintenance check, the tanks would need to be emptied, cleansed thoroughly, and inspected for any damaged components. Any damages will then need to be repaired or replaced, and the entire system will be ultimately reassembled and tested to ensure that it's all good to go. The goal of these overhaul inspections and cleaning jobs is to ensure that the ballast tanks are in brand new condition and are ready to provide the necessary stability to the aircraft carrier maneuvering in the harsh sea conditions. Despite all of these safety precautions and maintenance that are used to keep an aircraft from becoming unstable, you may wonder, do these aircraft carriers actually end up tipping over or tilting? In short words, the answer is yes, but it's not as dramatic as you might be thinking right now. In ordinary operational conditions, aircraft carriers are able to maintain a flawlessly stable position and manage to tackle and power through turbulence with ease. Although all aircraft carriers are specifically designed to stay level in the sea, they're not completely safe. You have to keep in mind that besides all of the protective measures the U.S. Navy has taken to maintain stability in their aircraft carriers, you can still tilt in extreme weather conditions. For example, in fiercely rough seas, the ship may experience a strong punch from the waves, causing it to tilt to one side or to the other. In this particular situation, the gyroscopic stabilizers and the huge ballast tanks come into play and help the carrier maintain its balance, and ultimately, keep the ride smooth. However, there can be scenarios where things can go wrong, but these incidents are very rare and few and far in between. Take the USS Harry S. Truman's accident as a primary example. A fighter jet on the deck of the Harry S. Truman became a victim of the rough sea waves and fell into the sea. This unusual instance makes you wonder about the precautions that the aircraft carrier's crew takes into consideration to avoid these kinds of casualties. As highlighted earlier, the safety of the personnel that the aircraft carrier houses is the main priority of the U.S. Navy. Thus, to avoid such tragedies, The United States Navy has installed a series of barricades and safety networks that stretch all across the deck of the ship, hence preventing the crew of the aircraft from getting dragged and falling into the sea during the takeoff and landing operations. Along with these factors, the Navy has added non-slip surfaces and very carefully designed walk paths which minimize the risk of any accidents involving the slipping of sailors or machinery. Adding to the safety, each crew member on board has safety harnesses attached to them, which are connected to sturdy tie-down points on the flight deck, especially during extreme and adverse weather conditions or during combat scenarios. These safety measures are put in place to reduce the probability of the carrier's aircraft or sailors sliding down and falling overboard. Even though the United States has the most advanced aircraft carriers in its arsenal, the U.S. Navy still does not leave any stone unturned to maintain its mighty legacy. Regardless, these battleships still face a variety of dangers every time they set sail from rough seas, everything from enemy attacks to supply shortages. There's no short list of challenges that these vessels have to face. However, the U.S. Navy is determined to fight these challenges with full force and is constantly investing in more cutting-edge technology, equipment, and training to ensure that these aircraft carriers are always ready to face these challenges head-on. If you enjoyed this video on the fascinating topic of the power and technology that the battleships of the United States boast, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Click that bell notification so you never miss any video of ours on a similar topic. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again soon in our next video.